Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. It's football season 2017, and I'm very, 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 very happy to be able to announce that the most popular show I think I've ever done, Into the Weekend with BetDSI, is going to be back for the 2017 season. Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, has very graciously and generously agreed to do these shows. Once again, people love these shows because, of course, what this is, it's a weekend roundup of all the betting action that Brent has taken over the week in the football games, both NFL and college football. And Brent shares with us, of course, the big public action, what games are going to hurt the books if a certain result happens, and of course, everyone's favorite part, the sharp action that he's taken. He shares with us the plays that he's taken from sharp accounts. Those are big, long-term, profitable accounts each week. Brent, thanks for doing the show with us one more year.
Good to be with you again, Peter.
All right, sounds good. So just to familiarize people who have forgotten what the show's about, and to sort of give people a little bit to update them on some questions that we've answered in years past. These big sharp accounts, the big sharp accounts that do this professionally, that make so much money year in and year out. Roughly, what are the winning percentages that they achieve that allows them to do that? I mean, I know they're betting huge dollar values, which is why they make so much money. But in college football, sides and totals, what are they expecting to do every year in terms of winning percentages?
I think that's like one of the big misconceptions that a lot of people would have about sharps. Like they just think, sharps just flat out win all the time. And obviously, sharp guys go bad all the time. They have losing weeks all the time. They don't bet dogs every single week. They bet, whatever it is. If they find value in a favorite, they find value in a favorite. You'll also find like anyone who's grinding out, or around 57% over the long term. That's a real happy customer from a sharp guy. You take a look at your overall investment in terms of the actual amount of money you put out on every bet. If you're returning like 2.5-3%, you're happy as a sharp.
Sure, absolutely. I'm pushing 2% in my MLB picks in my live show every morning this year. That's over the entire season, Brent.
That's pretty impressive, Peter.
That is pretty impressive. That's MLB though.
Yeah, we're glad that football is here now, because like baseball. I mean, I'm sure doing a baseball show that you do, you've noticed yourself that like this time of year, after the trade deadlines and stuff like that, I mean, the bad teams just end up being worse. The good teams seem to be better, and the favorites just keep on covering right now. And this is kind of like not the best time of the year for us, but thankfully we're here at college football season with NFL just around the corner. So this is really where we have fun in this business.
Right. Okay. So you're saying that you and they would expect to hit, the guys, these top accounts would expect to hit about 57% in college football. That's actually surprisingly a little bit high. I would have thought you might have said maybe like 55%.
Yeah. I was gonna say around 56, but I think these guys, I mean, at least the content we provided for this show has been higher than that. I mean, the guys that, and again, it could be a case where sometimes where you've got two sharp guys going against each other, and we don't really count that thing, or we don't really talk about that, a game like that where you've got sharps going against each other. A couple of sharps on the same side, that bumps up the percentage as well. So I think if you look back, I mean, take a look at last year. I think if someone ran the numbers, you'd probably find that right around, actually probably last year was higher than 57%, Peter.
Yeah, I actually do have those numbers, and I will go back and check them. I'll definitely be tracking them this year as well. And then just a related question. Obviously, all these big accounts are making max bets, betting high dollar amounts. Are there any accounts that bet smaller amounts, not even close to the maximum limits that you have, that nevertheless you've recognized as being accounts that tend to have a high winning percentage long term, and that you pay attention to, or are those accounts is just any account that bets a relatively low dollar amount just an account that you don't pay attention to at all?
No, I mean, we pay attention to basically all the winners, and there definitely are some, smaller guys who just bet smaller, dollar volumes. It may be an issue of, managing their bankroll in terms of what they have here. Now, again, if a guy is really, really sharp, he's probably got more than one out where he's playing, so he can, pick and choose where he puts his bigger bets down. But generally speaking, if you're talking about sharp guys, long term, the guys who do this full time, and this is their primary source of income, they're usually betting max bets whenever they can. And again, we talk about the percentage that return on an investment, the ROI on a guy's layout. If you're returning like 2.5-3%, you want to get as much money down as you can. So anytime you get a chance to fire at a max bet, you usually fire at a max bet.
Right, but there are some guys who bet smaller dollar amounts that are still nevertheless accounts that you're aware of and do pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Great information, Brent. Let's get into it. Week 1 in college football. The first game I want to ask about, obviously, Florida State and Alabama. Huge game. I've noticed that this line is kind of like bounced between 6.5 and 7.5. It's kind of settled on 7 here right now. I'm assuming that there's massive betting volume on this one from the public, mostly split right down the middle. Sharp action? I don't know. What can you tell us, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by I was going to say the movement, or generally, we'll talk in this case, the lack of movement, that this one's pretty much, well balanced for us. I do have, a wager count of almost like 2-1 favoring Alabama. So that's maybe why it's, bounced from the 6.5 to the 7. I don't really have any sharp money that way. But if you look at my, my count is about 2-1 in favor of Alabama. My money right now is the same thing. It's about 2-1 in favor of Alabama, which is why we're sitting at 7 still. Could we throw 7 in some juice? Maybe, maybe 7 minus 15 or something like that, go up to there. But I think everyone's pretty solid at 7 right now. And again, it's not a really huge decision for us. Yeah, my money's like 2-1 favoring Alabama. The count's 2-1 favoring Alabama. But again, there's so much more action that's going to come in tomorrow as well. So right now we're sitting, we're comfortable where we are right now. Like I said, you could see our next move maybe going to Alabama -7, -115. But it's pretty much public money right now, and it's good two-way action as well. So we're in a good spot right there in terms of the side for sure. There's no sharp action on the total, although you've probably seen that creep up a little bit from like 48 to 49.5 where we are right now. But that's basically just public money. And again, I'll tell you now, this is going to be a common theme all season long, that the public guys, you're going to hear a lot of counts favoring the over, and that this is a case like that as well. Probably, I'm looking at my numbers right now. It's about 5-1, the actual number of bets, wager count that I've taken favoring the over versus the under. So public pretty much on the over. I do have more public on Alabama, but only about 2-1. So that's not a huge chart for us.
Okay, I guess that's what I would have expected. And then another game that's interesting is Maryland and Texas. Of course, Texas always a program with high expectations, and it seems like much more often than not they underachieve and underwhelm. Now it's the Tom Herman era at Texas, and they opened as a big favorite against Maryland, and it's gotten bet up. It's now 18.5 or 19 market wide. That surprised me a little bit. I'm guessing that is public action that's driven that money up. I would be very, very surprised to hear that there was any sharp action that came in on Texas at -17 that caused that line to go up.
Prepare to be surprised, Peter.
No way.
Way.
Really?
Yeah, really. I got sharp action on Texas. They did come in on Texas at -17, and just maybe even more surprising to you is that my wager count actually favors the other side there. I've got more. My actual number of wagers slightly favors Maryland. It's not even like 2-1, but it is probably like 1.5 times the number of bets that I've had on Maryland. But I do have sharp action on Texas, and therefore, because I took sharp action, I do have like almost twice as much money on Texas. So right here we're sitting at 19 right now. But yeah, that was sharp action that came in on Texas. Again, it was Texas -17, and this is if you want to call it like a sharp public split, sharp action on Texas, and judging by my wager count, it's mostly public on Maryland.
Wow, the public is on Maryland. We've done this show for many years, Brent, and you know that whenever there's a sharp public split where the sharps are favoring the favorite, that always, in my mind, that's a ding 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 moment where the favorite is probably a great bet. And I have to say, I'm blown away to hear that. But I guess that is interesting. And also the Greek, I'm looking at this line, the Greek, which does have opinionated lines. There's 19, 18.5. The Greek has 18, so the Greek appears to be leaning Maryland. What an interesting game. Do you think there's any chance that sharp action will come in a day of game closer to kickoff on Maryland?
Yeah, I mean, it can always happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what you'll find as well is these lines, obviously, on the day of the game are going to move quite a bit, and you get that because many of the guys who are better, sharp bettors, they're managing their bankroll, and like we talked about as we started the show, they want to get down to max wagers, as much as they can on every game. So, Fridays, the day before the game, we still have a lower limit. We'll probably have a higher limit on game day. So when you can kind of get double your limit on Saturday, often they'll wait until the day of the game to get that max bet down. And the reason they do that as well, you want to manage the line. You don't want to pound the game with a max bet and have the line go from 17.5 up to 19.5, and then you only got a half wager. So you kind of want to wait the day of the game. And if you can hammer it at that 17.5, you hammer that 17.5 for the full amount.
All right, so but suffice to say, the jury is still out on what the sharp side on this one is. But if there's one sharp guy who's liking it at 17, it's not very likely, although not unheard of, that another sharp will come in on the other side at +19. But we have seen that before. It's not unheard of, right, Brent?
Yeah, no, and on day of the game, you'll find that a lot with totals. I mean, sometimes you can bounce a number. You'll see, I remember last year there was several games up in high totals. One sharp would come in at over 70, so you go the full point up to 71. Now the guy comes back under the 71. You go back to 70, and you just bounce between the 70 and the 71, and you can have them basically until they've all got as much as they want to have on that game. It's interesting because a lot of people come in and they say like, well, if you got this one sharp guy who's betting you over 70, another sharp guy betting you under 71, why don't you use 70 and a half as the number? And the answer to that, of course, is we want to book as much action as we can. So if I got this guy firing 5 or 10 times on an over 70, another guy betting 5 or 10 times on an under 71, and they'll do that for say 50,000 each, I'd rather write that 100,000 than have them both go stale at 70 and a half and neither of them touch it.
Right, absolutely, and the risk is it's worth it. It's worth the risk of getting sided on that one. All right, well, we'll see where this line moves, but as of right now, information that sharp guy, at least one, like Texas at minus 17. And then the only other game I want to ask you about, obviously, it's going to be a huge game on Sunday, Texas A&M and UCLA. Only 2 games on Sunday. I'm assuming this is going to be a massive betting volume game, at least as far as the public action is concerned, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a huge game. And actually, I mean, doing this on Friday. I talked about the Thursday night game. I was like amazed at how much action we had on that Ohio State Indiana game. It was just, I mean, it was fantastic volume. And I say that because there was probably like 5 or 6 games on Thursday as well, and a couple of decent games, but everyone was on that Ohio State game, which is really good for us. And obviously with the game on Sunday, you're going to have a ton of action on this one. There's only 2 games going on Sunday, and right now we've got UCLA 3.5 point favorite, and my count's almost like not 2 to 1, maybe like 1.5 times favoring UCLA. My money's about 3-4 to 1, same way favoring UCLA. I don't really have any sharp action on this one, just mostly public money, as you can tell by the count. We're sitting at 3.5, total of 57 right now. If I look at my wager count, again, no surprise that I've got more bets on the over, almost like 8 to 1 on the over, but that's just public guys betting the over, as they often will do. And again, Texas A&M UCLA is kind of like one of those games where you say, yeah, everyone's going to be on the over that game. I'm sure no surprise to you. Another example would be like Saturday, Louisville, Purdue. That's one of those games where you just know the public's going to be betting the over. Both those offenses, especially Louisville's offense. So I mean that's a game there where I've got a count of almost like 10 to 1 favoring the over. And actually I've got what I might call pseudo sharp action coming on the under 69 there. So that's one of those interesting ones that if you see that game, tomorrow, if that total drops at all, you can be pretty sure that was sharp action. Like I said, we're like 10 to 1 in terms of our wager count favoring the over on that Louisville Purdue game. So just something to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brent. Those are 3 games that are obviously huge games. Wanted to get your take on what you've seen so far. Now let's just look at the rest of the college football card on Saturday and I guess Sunday and Monday as well. What can you tell us about sharp action that you've seen? I will predict we saw a pretty big, significant move in the Arkansas State-Nebraska game. Opened at about 16.5. Now it's down to 14 or 14.5. I'm going to predict that you will tell us that you took sharp action on Arkansas State.
I'm not going to go there quite.
Okay.
I'm looking up. Yeah, and even my count, really, I've got more bets on on Nebraska. My money is pretty much dead even. So yeah, I mean the money's kind of played itself out to where we are right now, but it's not like any big sharp action either way, and not really a huge count either way on that game as well.
Okay.
So like I said, you figured the public is going to bet Nebraska, but you see the line dropping and my money's almost dead even. So I'm not going to call that a sharp public split or even a pseudo sharp split though, but that's been decent action on that game and good 2-way action for us even with the line move. I'm surprised you didn't want to talk about Michigan, Florida, but I'm going to bring that up anyway. Again, Michigan's up to like 5 right now, and it's not what I'm going to call a list guy yet, but I do have what we'll call a pseudo sharp guy. We've used that term in years past, who did take a Florida plus 4.5. Now the line is 5, and that's just because of all the public all over on Michigan. And again, it's one of those things where the count's almost like 4 to 1 favoring Michigan. So right now, just a lot of public money driving that line. I'm just mentioning that because again, it's a pseudo sharp on Florida, and I wouldn't be surprised if that line dropped back down. And if it did, that it's sharp action because the public has definitely played their hand in terms of favoring Michigan there on the road. Sharp action that I have seen, Wisconsin and Iowa, that game total under Now that's a a real big move. The under 55 is where they started coming in. We're all the way down to 50, so that number's just gone down and down and down. Again, my wager count is almost dead even on that total, so it's mostly sharp action going on the under there. Another total is the Akron Penn State game. I've got over action there from sharps on the over 63. We're sitting at 66 right now. This is one of those games where I've got both public and sharp action on the over. Wager count in terms of the actual number of individual wagers I've taken is almost like 4 to 1 favoring the over there. Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame as a favorite there. Notre Dame minus 14. I took sharp action there. They're at home to Temple. That's all the way up to 18.5 right now. So my wager count is not crazy on that one, but my money is definitely way one-sided in favor of Notre Dame, almost like 5 to 1 in terms of the money. So whenever you get counts that are kind of close and money's way split, there was some heavy hitters who what we would be consider either oil money, as you've mentioned in the past, Peter, or sharp guys. And in this case, it was sharp guys who bet Notre Dame minus 14.
All right. That's that it?
Along. No, I got. So I just had to get a glass of water.
Okay, yeah, please. Whatever you need, Brent. Whatever you need, we will accommodate. We're sitting here with bated breath, listening to the Sharp Action Report for College Football Week 1. Whatever you need, Brent. This is why we do the show, because this information is so valuable and interesting. Even if you're not going to act on it, it's just interesting to hear how it all works and what your thought process is as you're looking at the action coming in and thinking about what it all means and how you're going to manage your risk and what you're anticipating as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like looking at this stuff, and especially in terms of the line movement after we do the show on Friday and talk about where the sharps have come in, and then you wait to game day and see the way things go. And like I said, like that Michigan Florida game is a good example. Like if you see that line drop down, you're going to know that it was sharp money because the public has clearly indicated where they're going in terms of favoring Michigan. So just stuff to look out for. Kentucky and Southern Miss, I want to touch. That's another total we want to go with. We've got the under is sharp action there.
Wow.
Under 61 is where they came in on that. Again, my wager count is almost like 2 to 1 favoring the over. That line's gone from 61.5 down to 57. So I've got my money is like 5 to 1 favoring the under on that one. So I've got public on the over and sharps on the under there. South Carolina, that's a game where I've got sharp money and public money on the over as well. That's over 47.5 is where the sharps came in there. We're sitting at 52.5 right now. So that's the sharps being sharps, grab the 47.5. And again, opening week in college football, you definitely see a lot more movement, I think, on these totals than you will later on the season. And one more game to touch on. One of those games that you might not want to bet, but you might want to watch. I do have a definite sharp public split here, which is Middle Tennessee State, and they're at home to Vanderbilt. I've got public money on Vanderbilt, like 3 to 1 in terms of the actual number of wagers I've taken on Vandy, but I have sharp action on Middle Tennessee State plus 5. So I've got a lot more wagers on Vanderbilt. Sharp money on Middle Tennessee State plus 5. We're sitting at minus 3 right now. Just want to say, Peter, we talk about, on the show, we talk about our sharp public split and stuff like that. And we talk about, the actual number of wagers. So this is when I talk about wagers, it's an actual individual wager count on the game. So if I've taken like 500 bets on the over, 100 bets on an under, I'm going to just say, I've got like a 5 to 1 split favoring the over and stuff like that. So when we talk about that, it's the actual like individual number of wagers taken on a game. And then we talk about the money as well. So this game, just talking about the Middle Tennessee State game, I've got a lot more money on Middle Tennessee State. I got a lot more bets on Vandy.
All right. Sounds great. Brent, can I quickly ask you just one question? If you don't have the information on hand in your brain, that's totally fine. But can I ask you about the Oklahoma State Tulsa total that happened earlier?
Oklahoma State and Tulsa. Where are we, Peter?
That was just, it was a total that in my shows, I said I loved it. I grabbed it at 71 on the over. It went up to 74, and then it crashed all the way down to 69.5, and then it crept a little bit up to 71 by kickoff, and then of course it wound up going way over, and I got.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, I thought you were talking. I was looking for a game for today. You're talking.
No,
about,
it's a game that it already happened, and I just wondered if you could shed some light on that. There was that huge move to the under. It spooked me, so I didn't wind up giving it as in the videos as an official pick. But then when I saw what happened, how the game turned out, I was like, why didn't I do that? And then I was wondering, who the hell was it? What happened? What caused the line movement to crash like that from 74 to 69.5? Was that sharp action? It had to have been, right?
Yeah, there was sharp action on that. They under 74 is where they came in on that game. Yeah, that was sharp yeah. Like I said, I mean the sharps aren't always right. I mean, you want to take a look at yesterday's games just because you mentioned it up. We did have sharp action on the under 74 in that Oklahoma State game. We had sharp action on Oklahoma State the side minus 17 and a half, and that one closed at 19 and a half. And Ohio State was the other sharp play. That was the total. They came in at over 52. That game closed 56 and a half. So the Sharps yesterday went 2 wins and 1 loss, and the 1 loss was that total that you mentioned, Peter.
All right, well, whoever it is that bet that under, take that guy off the list. That guy's dumb as hell. Trust me, Brent.
I'll take that under consideration, Peter.
Take it under consideration, Brent. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much for doing this show with us. Of course, we'll be doing this NFL and college football all season long on Friday. BetDSI. Can't say enough about what a great book it is, caters to the public and to the sharps. And thanks so much, Brent. Talk to you next week.
Great to be back, Peter.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.